Hey guys, how you doing? Saturday afternoon, Steve Lav here, doing my little vlog on Saturday. It's probably about 1 o'clock and Memorial Day weekend. It's kind of really chilly here. It's probably only like 58 degrees. It's not even really all that warm. I've been doing some, cleaning of units and kind of like maintenance, but no crazy AC calls yet as far as, people running their systems up my way. I know some of the guys down south been really busy. Been hot down there, 85 and whatnot. So, that's gonna hit me soon, but it really hasn't yet. So, calm before the storm up my way. That's all good, got other stuff to do. I've been doing some plumbing videos. I've been uploading some of those. And I got some pretty good responses on it. I got a couple. One guy asked me, to do a little vlog about Nylog, and he's seen it in my kit and why I use it. You guys know I run the 570 Testo 570. I got a 550. I got a 557. I know the new eye manifolds are out now, but at this point I really don't need that right now. So I'll run my 570 for a bit. I'm good with that. I like the 570 because it's got the 3/8 tap for the vacuum. And I have found that, I got the Apion half-inch Apion hoses to pull a vacuum down in 3 minutes. I do that sometimes, remove the cores and whatnot. But sometimes with the condensing units, I found that, you can't put the core removing tools on some of these units. The way the condensing units are made, the way the layout is of the king valves, you can't get those core removers on there. To be able to get it. So sometimes I don't always have to pull a vacuum in 3 minutes. Sometimes, if I put my Testo 570 on there and I pull the vacuum through the 3/8 port on my vacuum, and it pulls down, maybe a good 15 minutes or whatnot. And a lot of times I'm working on other stuff anyway. So as far as the Nylog goes, there's two kinds. There's the red one and the blue one. Okay, the red one is for HCFCs, which is basically 22. Okay, and the blue one is for HFCs, which would be your 410A and your 134A. The blue one. Now you could use the blue one on both. The red one is a little bit more sticky, more gooey. It's kind of like snot, you know. You put it on there and it's kind of gooey and nasty, and the blue one isn't as gooey. But what this is good for is if you're pulling a vacuum or something, you want to put this on your Schrader core, your hoses, a little bit of it. It helps it to seal, helps that rubber to seal and pull a better vacuum. I also like to use the Nylog for checking for leaks on my Schrader cores. I put it on there. If that Schrader core is leaking, this Nylog's going to bubble up, and it doesn't contaminate. Now, if you go over there with some water and squirt soapy water on there, that's all well and good. But now, if you put your refrigerant hoses on, you're mixing water in with the refrigerant. It's not a good idea. So that's why I like the Nylog. I use that basically for checking for leaks in the Schrader valves. And the king valves, if there's a small leak on that, you could, put some of that on the king valve caps and cap it off. Because I know a lot of guys, when they're soldering up or brazing up a condensing unit, they're not wet ragging it. They're just brazing that thing up, and a lot of times they'll cook the flipping O-ring in the king valve. The sucker will leak all over the place. It's important, to wet rag that shit when you're working on it. And another thing I wanted to talk about is, refrigerant lines, gauges. Now, you look inside there, there's a little black gasket inside there. Okay? Now, you could pull that little brass thing out of there with a pair of needle nose, and you could take that little brass, that little rubber O-ring, and you can get new ones. Now, you should be, whenever you're going to be pulling a vacuum especially, you should be looking at them rubbers. And them rubbers don't last forever, guys. You should be changing those. If you check your gauges when you get in your truck and you see how bad them rubbers are, they don't last. If you're not changing those rubbers every couple of 3 weeks, you know, you're really missing out, because when you go to pull a vacuum, you're not going to be able to pull a good vacuum because it's going to be sucking air into around those rubbers. They should be changed. Just something we want to think about. Very important. When you look at your gauges, before you put them on, you look at them rubbers and you tell me what they look like. I guarantee that after a couple of weeks, they need to be changed. Just a couple things I wanted to talk about, just to keep stuff. A lot of times we get busy, we forget to do stuff, and it's not really all that hard to change those gaskets and them hoses. And I know I change mine a lot. Same thing with vacuum oil. What I usually do, I run a JB eliminator pump. And what I usually do when I'm going to do a vacuum, they say you should change your vacuum oil every time you pull a vacuum. Bullshit. I ain't doing that. I put my vacuum gauge on there, and if I pull down to 50 microns with my vacuum gauge, I know that oil is good. That's one way to check if your oil in your vacuum pump's good. Put the vacuum micron gauge right on the pump, turn it on, it pulls down to 50 microns, you're good to go. If it can't pull down that micron gauge to 50 microns, you better change that flipping oil. But anyway, just a couple of things, yeah, I like running the 570 with the 3/8 vacuum hose. And again, on the vacuum hose, when you're pulling a vacuum, you want to put a little bit of this Nylog on there. It really helps seal them gaskets. It really, really helps. And, we should be pulling microns down to 500 a vacuum down to 500 microns. An older system, I always say anything under 1,000, because a lot of times they'll have leaks in the evaporator or something, and it's the best you're going to get it. You get an old system, you get under 1,000 microns, you're good to go. They say anything under 500 microns, you're going to start boiling the oil off. Well, maybe so. If you're pulling on a compressor in the compressor note, you're not just pulling on a line set, it's a valid point. I know if you're pulling on the whole system, the compressor and all, it takes longer to pull a vacuum down, because you are pulling refrigerant out of the oil and whatnot and boiling that off. It takes longer, especially an older system. But anyway, guys, I wanted to thank all my loyal subscribers, all the guys that comment on my stuff. I really appreciate them guys that comment on my stuff, and it's always the same guys that do a lot of comment, and I'm always getting new guys coming through my channel, which I do appreciate that. And I want to thank you guys for leaving the comments and taking the time to give the thumbs up and write the comments. We go back and forth, and that's what my channel's all about. I'd rather have less subscribers but more comments than what I would do, say, if I got 20,000 subscribers and I only get a few comments. Well, what good is that? I'd rather have the more comments myself. I think that's a better setup. But anyway, like I said, I want to thank all my loyal subs, and I was glad to see Hvac came back, did a video. I have a lot of respect for Hvac Talon. He does a great job. He's a good mechanic, and I like watching his stuff, and I know a lot of other guys do also. There's a lot of other good technicians out there also. There's a whole bunch of them, but it's glad to see that he's still swinging at the bat, swinging at the ball anyway. All right, guys. Hey, man. Don't forget, it's Memorial Day. Hopefully you guys, remember the veterans and all the guys that died for our safety and for our freedom. And there's a lot of guys in the military that, gave their lives up as military men in overseas battles and stuff. And that's what it's all about, life's short, So hopefully you guys can spend some time with your family in a cookout. I always say it's all about the family. Very important. All right, guys, man, spend some time with your family, and I'm going to be doing some more videos. I try to load up quite a few videos, And I've been trying to mix in a little bit of the plumbing stuff, and I've been getting some pretty good responses from some of the guys. Some of the guys watch it, some guys don't, but you know, I do a variety of stuff, so uh, why not bring it? Um, I'll try to bring some decent stuff. If it's good, I'll load it up and post it. All right, guys. Have a good long weekend, and stay tuned for more to come.